familiar with sometimes called the pelvic tilt, big old butt wink, basically at the bottom of the squat, the loss of a neutral pelvis. Okay, is there anybody that has not heard that word before, the butt wink?
Sweet.
Sweet. So we're all kind of familiar with this. We've all kind of seen it before. I want to kind of go around real quick and figure out and see one thing from each person on why you think a butt wink might happen, a cause from it. Do you have an idea on why a butt wink might happen in the bottom of a squat?
Maybe like similarly to when you're training for pull-up, how there might be a certain like range where you're weak, like it might be like the very bottom part, like maybe similarly at the very bottom you don't have those specific little small muscles.
Sure.
Strong.
Go.
Tight muscles.
Tight muscles.
Tight muscles.
More specifically, hips. Hamstrings. Cool, there it is. Go.
Weak muscles.
Weak. Okay.
Glutes.
Cool.
mobility,
And
ankles.
okay. Awesome.
Anatomy, femur contact with the pelvis.
Okay.
Your body not being used to that movement.
Sure. Completely.
Yeah.
Range of motion, tight muscles.
Okay. Tight hamstrings.
Not knowing
Completely.
that they're doing it.
So being completely unaware of that is one. Motor control is kind of another thing that I'm seeing around here. And then some sort of stiffness, whether that be in the ankles, hamstrings, and then being able to, can the athlete feel it and can the coach spot it? I think is another big thing behind that. So what I want to do right now is, let's everybody stand up. We're all got our shoes and socks off already. This is what we are going to do right now. Let's go partner up. We're going to go here. Okay? Let's go Courtney and Emmeline. And I want AJ and Bianca. And then, let's see, I got Scott. William and Scott, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay? So this is what we're going to start with. Okay? I want to go through our organizing sequence. I think the reason why we care about the butt wink so much is because we end up losing an organized position in the bottom. And we know that that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to lead to injury right now, in 6 months, in a year, but it could potentially lead to that. But we also know that it's an inhibitor of performance. You're going to lose performance if you lose your organized position. That's where it starts. So I want everyone to find your feet at relatively hip width apart with your toes forward, feet straight. Okay? From here, I want you to just find a balanced foot. So if you start rocking towards your toes and towards your heels, and as you slowly start to find centered there, you have the same amount of weight across all 5 toes and your heel. Now the second piece of this is your ankle. I want everyone to collapse your ankles.
I'm really good at this one.
Real good. If you want to see it, you're going to see it on
Yeah.
breathe.
Look at those. Look
Now,
at those babies.
here's what
Yeah.
we need to do. We need to activate the arch in the foot, which looks like pulling your ankle to the center of your foot, and your arch of your foot will start to come up. Okay? Another way that you can think about this is you are trying to grab the ground with your feet. You can also think about it in terms of trying to shorten your foot. Some of you might feel a cramp in this, but if you go out of that right away, guess what? It's not really a cramp. I think that's just your muscle firing in a way that you are not used to. That eventually will get better, okay? Working our way upstream now from the feet. Soft knees. We're not going to stand with our knees locked out. Soft knees, okay? Going into the hips and the ribs now. I'd like to talk about this together. So what I want everyone to do is put your middle finger on your hip bones and your thumbs at the bottom of your rib cage. You feel there's this little gap here, and that's what I want you to do. Open up that gap. Now, close that gap. You can feel a little bit of a 2-pack engaged. Glutes are slightly squeezed. Okay? You're not flexing a 6-pack as hard as you can, but your midline's turned on. I like to call this connecting your hips to your ribs. It's going to help stabilize your spine and put your spine in a stacked position. Shoulders, shrug them for me. Pull them back, pull them down. And neutral chin, which most of us looks like we need to pull our chin back. No computer net. Now we all feel like robots right now. This might be super, super weird for you, but this is an organized position. So whether it be a squat that we're going to talk about in a minute, or a hinge, or I'm going to press a barbell overhead, my performance will be limited if I lose this organized position. Anything to add to that? No? We good so far? Cool. Let's talk squat. Shoulder, or does anybody have any questions on that organizing sequence to start? No? Roughly a shoulder width stance now. Some of you might know that you like a slightly wider than shoulder width. Some of you might know that you like a slightly narrower than shoulder width position, okay? When we're teaching the squat, number one, screw your feet into the ground. We are trying to get our feet, our knees, and our hips to all work together. I'm trying to create torque in my hips. That's what this screw in does right here. Now, as I lower down into the squat, my hips will go down and back as I break at the hips and the knees at the same time. This looks like here, not here, not here. And what I want to do right now is we're all going to take about 5 seconds to get down to the bottom of your squat. Screw into the ground and down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Check your feet. Are your feet still flat? Do you still have that neutral position that we just talked about? Are your arches on? Are your feet able to stay straight? Can you still screw into the ground right now? Stand up. Bingo. So you're with your partners right now. One of you is going to be the coach. One of you is going to be the athlete. Coach, your job is to look at the pelvis and see if you can figure out when that butt wink, or if that butt wink starts to happen. Okay? Athlete, you're going to do 5 squats. Regular pace, your tempo, however fast you normally move. Coach, your job is to figure out again when or if that butt wink takes place. One of you is coach, one of you is athlete. You're not switching yet. Just do those 5. But you and your partner, go for it.
You too. If you want to go first, or me go first? Fire it up. Don't switch.
Don't switch yet. Don't switch yet.
Just 5 squats.
Yep, just 5 squats. Coaches, in your brain, this is kind of up to you. Or who? Let me ask the coaches now. Ooh, I'm actually going to reverse this. I'm going to ask the athletes first. How many athletes here felt like they had a butt wink? 1, 2. Cool. Coaches, how many of your athletes did have a butt wink?
You agree.
You agree, right? We're on the same page here. Okay, we already talked about it. That's fine. Now, going away from the butt wink idea, coaches, I think AJ was the only one that I saw. Most of us have one angle, point of view. Your job needs to be during those 5 squats. We're going to kind of do it again, to get multiple angles. You might be able to see this from someone at a slight angle, right? If we're looking at Bree and she starts to do her 5 squats, I might want to see a couple from here. I might want to see a couple from here. And I might want to see a couple from slightly back at this angle also. Now, this is really weird. I don't want to stand back here. I mean, straight, don't do that. I also don't want to be this person. Nope, I don't want to be that person. Huge red flag. Okay? So, we're going to do this again, but athletes, your job is to do a 5-second, same thing that we just all did together, 5-second tempo squat to get down to the bottom. Now, especially my people who felt the butt wink, I want you and your coach to be on the same page on when that does happen. Okay? Over here, I want to see if we can still, if on tempo it still doesn't happen, or does it?
We want to find it, guys. Go lower.
Yeah, find it. This is not about your perfect squat right now. Let's see if this actually does happen and try to find full depth. Make sense? Let's do it. Let's go again.
I'm just gonna giggle.
And is it now? It's hard for me to tell. Am I Below.
Slow.
Nice. Deeper, deeper, deeper. Boom. Back up. You feel that difference? Do it again, one more time.
Yeah, transitioning. What happened if you?
So how are we going to make this feeling? What's one really
I see that.
I didn't see it. I mean, it must have been very slight, but now you saw it. Even on the white face. Did you feel it?
Notice how much air squat.
Makes it really easy with the lines and the jeans. Like all the lines. Yeah. Love it. That's as far as I can get. Right there. You see, I'm pretty good. Alright. Kind of want to move on now. We're going to switch roles. Coach, you are now athlete. Athlete, you are now coach. We're going to start with just 5 air squats. Just 5. No more than 5. At your normal. Oh, hang on, Jen. Shit, I'm good. You're good. Son of a. Just 5 air squats at your normal pace.
I got that.
And then we're chit chat with your coach real quick on butt wink or no. And then center back here.
Is that on film?
5 air squats. Go. Check.
Stop looking at me, Tyler.
5 normal speed.
Shut up.
It looks like runners finish over there.
I can feel it. I believe you're just being like, oh,
Okay. What do we think? Do we have one? Little one. Got it. Here we go in here too. What do we think? Do we? Kinda. What about here? Yeah, athletes are waiting. Did you feel it?
Don't worry, I know.
Sorry, you were squatting. You felt it. Sorry. Did you feel it? I felt something down there. Something going on, right? Did you feel it? Couldn't feel anything. Could you feel it? Yeah, you can absolutely feel it, right? Okay. Free tempo now. And especially those of you that felt your butt wink, I want you and your coach to be on the same page of, are we feeling that and noticing that at the same time? 3 tempo air squats now. Go.
Wait. So you need to feel it. When does it happen?
I'm trying.
So get down there. And then get lower.
That's yeah, I feel it now.
Okay. Slowly come up and try it to see when it feel it. Pretty good.
Okay. I feel like I'm being
Now,
easier.
next one. So it's usually easier to find it once it's on.
Hey, squat therapy, bro. Hey, squat therapy, bro.
Squat therapy.
So we see it at the same time.
But
I know. I know.
we don't coach that. Yeah. Well, no, honestly, like my ability to
Okay. We're on the same page?
Yeah.
Same page? Yes?
Yeah.
Same page over here? Yeah? Able to feel it?
So one
Coming up, I can feel it going down.
Going down, kind of tough.
Yeah.
Okay.
That, I just want to bring that up as a coaching cue. Sometimes if they can't feel it on the way down, you have them do it the other way. So get into a really shitty, like all the way down, even if they have to hold on to get there, and then have them slowly come up and find where it happens. So sometimes it's easier to feel the other way, and then pause them there, and then say, okay,
Especially if they've been doing this for a long time, and every time in rounds they're like, "What do you mean? That's how it feels every time you squat."
Yeah.
So
It's
why-
a new thing to feel.
Yeah.
So we kind of started doing this already, but I want to talk about ways that we can correct this. Now, certain little strategies that are going to help the athlete get out of it. And one of the ones that I think comes up a lot is, okay, well, if I'm squatting with my feet straight, that can be really difficult, especially if we're trying to create torque, but we've never done that before. So sometimes that solution is turn the feet out. Big red flag. Okay? Now, why is that a big red flag? Bree's going to demo this. So when you get into a squat stance, turn out about, not quite 45 degrees, but somewhere in that range. I'm going to have Bree get into a quarter squat. What's going to end up happening is I'm going to try to pull her knee in. This side right here. Push against my hands. Right here. And it's really, really easy for me to pull on that knee. I did not have to pull very hard in order for her to lose position. Now, if I go feet straight, all I'm doing here is changing my foot position. Okay? And I'm going to put my hands here again, and I'm going to pull. Okay.
I'm so strong.
This isn't just some boardwalk trick that AJ learned at Venice Beach either. I promise you. What this shows us here is strictly by foot position, I can put myself in a much more mechanically advantageous position.
Let's all try it.
10 points.
Everybody do it to each other.
So, do this with each other. About 45-degree turnout, maybe less.
So she needs to get into a
Play
baby
around with
squat.
this. Feel this right now. Feel how that wide stance was different. So, hold. Yeah, don't be afraid to sell it. It's easy. And then go foot straight. Both turned out and feet straight.
Yeah, so you know, like the other one I did this case, you was shove across. You have nothing there. And the point that we're trying to say is more or less just the smallest position can lead your athlete to being really uncapable in a position. So when we think about how flat we can say you have there, if I'm squatting,
What does it say? It's like what the
that's flat.
Look at that. It doesn't move.
Doesn't budge. Doesn't budge, right?
Shorter positions will get here. It might feel like we don't have as much room there. We need to hear that position before we compensate in a shitty position.
Alright. So, kind of just debunk one of the ways that we can kind of work around that as far as corrections go. Three ones that I want to stick to. Now, there could be a handful of others. One of the things here that we can talk about as far as fixing this foot weight at the bottom is a wider stance. So if I am narrow, I am asking a lot out of my ankle range of motion. If you're someone that has very stiff ankles, well, I can go with a wider stance. And what this will allow me to do is sit into my hips a little bit more. And what you can see is that my knees are now not as far over my toes. Versus if we have a narrow stance, we're asking a lot out of that ankle range of motion because we can see our knees going far out.
Check that action out, though.
Right?
Yeah, baby.
With that big old rounded back right there. Lost that
Do I have it?
position. There it is. You got it there, but if we try to go lower, right? Bam. Gone. Now wider stance. And it started happening a little bit, but much, much later. Much later. I was just like, sure.
Hold on.
Don't point
Give
that
me a
out.
second. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, here you go.
And so this leads me into the next thing now that I was going to talk about is time in the bottom. If we do have that butt wing, getting down to the bottom and can I correct it? Whether that be hanging onto a post where I'm a little deloaded, can I feel when that's happening or not? So spending time in the bottom, we kind of did this a little bit over here where, okay, raise up a little bit. When does that start to go back to where we want it to be versus at the very bottom, can I feel that or can I not? Okay. Last one here could be a potential heel lift. Again, if ankles are really, really an issue, and it limits the athlete's ability to keep a flat foot, well then I elevate the heels a little bit. We got some 5-pound plates, and
Oh, I love it.
It's
I could
so
squat
nice.
all day.
this is why you see lifters wear lifting shoes. You give that little bit of heel lift, but it help the ankles out a little bit.
But a much better option than toes turned out, right, Coach?
Completely.
Question on that.
Oh, God.
Toes out takes a little bit, takes our stability away.
Mhm.
Why do we not, like, what's the con of the heel lift? Like,
The heel lift, I mean, the con behind that is you are not you're working around the issue, you're not improving
You're not
the issue, right? So, yeah, game on. But guess what's not going to happen? I'm not getting to end range of my ankles, which means it's not going to improve, right?
But I
There's
think
a time
that-
and a place for it.
Agreed. And I would like say there's a 10, 15, 20% of our community that probably should have lifters for when we do the strength program.
Completely.
Because like Amber, who lived her entire life on her toes as a dancer, we're not fixing. I mean, she's the hardest worker on her ankles at home, and it's still only improving like this much. So is she gonna have a better experience in our strength program by wearing lifters? Probably.
You always have to ask the why. Right now, what are we doing? Are we working on strength? Are we working on ankle mobility? Are we playing in the Olympic lifting world? Or are we trying to be healthier in the bottom of our squat barefoot? And different times you'll want different reality.
And this is also the reason why too, where even if say we like today we're gonna back squat, right? Okay, Amber, you're gonna wear lifters today, but guess what? In the warm up, you're not gonna put them on until you get to the barbell, so that you have the opportunity to still work on that and improve that during warm up.
And it'd be something like she's never gonna get a pistol. She doesn't work on her ankles. You know, like we know that that's gonna limit other movements in there.
You don't have to twist.
So really, all of that right now is just leading us into this debate / discussion on when do we go?
I wanna have everyone try those different
Oh,
things
perfect.
with their person, see if they can get them lower.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. I want everyone, each group needs a pair of 5-pound plates like this. You can steal these. Cool, thank you.
We're smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I had to get to know myself.
So let's do it. And everybody's gonna each other.
I was worried about. If you think we're there, then that's
that's why.
we are the movement geeks. If you haven't,
Thick heels over here.
So everyone needs to go with one normal squat, like do a normal one, and let the coach decide what you're gonna do to change it.
perfect. Good call.
Okay, you are squatting normal, and then the coach is gonna try to help you fix it.
Hey, yeah, we got better. We just got better over here.
What are we doing?
So your goal now is squat normal, and then the coach's job is to give you the correct cue, the correct thing to get you out of the butt wing.
This is no matter what. Just go all the way down. No matter what. You are right here. One more squat. You're organized. You know the things that you should be doing now. Going forward, etc. Eyes are up. Go. All the way.
Pretty
Keep
sure I
going.
had the widest
Keep
hands.
going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep
So
going.
there is
Keep going. That's it.
what's gonna happen.
Okay. One for the heels on this. Just your heels. I want you to and then you're gonna release that.
I definitely don't have
So now I want you to really feel this down. Feel it down. Now stand up tall first. Stand up tall first. Keep going nice and tight. Arms out.
So you raised her up, and it wasn't a different squat. So
Thumbs
that's
up.
not
Push a little bit. Lift your leg up. Now slowly but surely go down. Slow.
And then also
Just down one. Push into my hand. Push into my hand. Go down.
sitting in
Push,
the squat.
push, push. Pause.
And playing with that little bottom part.
Push my hand. Push in. Go down more. Go down more. Go down more. Push in hard. Yeah.
Love that right here. Love
You
that.
feel that? So now do it without me. Okay? So you know what you have to do at the bottom. You've got to fight to just press these out. Now the other thing I want you to think of is bring the toe in just a little. I want you to imagine that this toe is tied to this toe. And you couldn't make those toes have more space if you tried. But you're going to try really hard. Does that make sense? So like imagine there was a string up here. Now you're going to try to break the string as you go down, but don't let your feet down to it. Eyes up, just a little higher than you think. Work hard, real hard on those.
So
I
actually get below parallel without that happening, and then when it's like,
when you feel it straight, right there, here, feel that? Now work harder, push out harder, really harder, come on.
the difference between the bottom of your squat versus bottom. You bottom out, right? So see it. But I think you can still get below parallel.
You have a lot more motor control. When I ask you to do this thing, you do it. You can actually do it, you just can't move past it.
Could be a handful.
But then also what we know is that like,
know is
range of motion,
bottom out is, here's the bottom of my squat.
that's got easier. So you probably have some maintenance going on too. Like we got a little bit of stiffness.
I'm on tension now. I can
It's
fix
hard
that.
when you get down there and work at that.
I'm just hanging down at the end.
Hard. So you also have a little bit of stiffness in the hip.
I have no musculature on
The
my feet.
adductors,
If I'm like,
control things.
that's where.
It just,
Well,
I like this picture of well that your matches that we could mobilize and probably do that.
bad tension.
We could also just slowly line and work down there and still see improvement in that. But then we know the big picture always is too, that if
I'm never catching a lot.
that helps the other.
But I am catching a lot.
So I can come in
The
one
difference is that bottom and like bottom of squat.
So today we're gonna work your ankle. So in the warm up, I want you to mobilize your ankle, mobilize your ankle, mobilize your ankle, and then we're gonna just prioritize the ankle and not wait to see where we get to. Switch it up. It might be, hey, get the weights out. We got heavy weight today. You're already squatting. We don't have time to work on your ankles. We don't have time to work on your hips. Let's take the heels out.
Or can you get her to the bottom?
Even like, do I have the heels? Like if I don't have those right now, we're not there's a bunch of different ways that you can use all of the different things that we're highlighting. And then we also have to consider too, like, how much am I going to get out of my athlete today?
Start to creep up.
I know I have you forever because you're my client, you're my membership, and we're going to do that compete. And it's like, okay, I'm getting a little bit of percentage out of you.
Yes.
I don't have to look how hard it is. And even know that we're on the right path. You now know you gotta work your ass off down there and just squat down.
All right, switch me on the stretch. Make sure we're coaching both people.
Make sure you bring it.
I need
Bianca,
to
you
get
better coach AJ.
Look, he's trying to get out of it.
He's a talker.
He's trying to get out of it.
Okay, I'm not gonna say anything. You just tell me what to do.
Slightly. Yours better slightly.
I know, this is great.
So what was the thing that we're talking Heels up.
I think both of us have ankle issues that contribute.
Which makes sense because I've had both.
Try to go more deeper.
Both ankles.
Find a couple different angles too.
Do you work on it with bent knees or straight knees?
What is your guys, both of you with your feet together squat look like?
Right now, the thing I'm going after is my shins.
So if you're ever not sure if it's ankles, that's what I do.
You still butt weight? Can we get any better?
Yeah, I got a little like on top like more.
Did she make it better? Yeah. Okay, let's bring it back together. Head over to the bathroom. That's okay.
Okay, we'll keep going.
You're allowed.
Now, one thing that becomes really important is how does the athlete learn and how does the athlete, or what does the athlete respond to? So, tactile versus verbal. If an athlete is very in tune with feeling that butt wink and feeling their body, a verbal cue might work. Hey, push your knees out more. Got it. Arch on more. Got it. If they can't feel that, then they're not going to respond very well to a verbal cue. That's where tactile, of putting my hand on the outside of Bree's knee and going, push your knee up against my hand, is going to work for her. Right? Now, obviously, what I'm not going to do is, hey, you feel this tilt? I'm going to put my hand on her butt and here, you feel that? Right? So, number one with that is make sure your athlete is okay with you touching them. And then, obviously, touch them in a way that's
I'm going to touch you for
appropriate.
instructional
Yeah.
purposes. Is that okay?
I mean, this doesn't have to do with the butt wink, but Jeffrey did this. You guys know Jeffrey. I wanted Jeffrey to do a lunge. It was in warm-ups. Put the dumbbell overhead, Jeffrey, you're gonna go and do 8 lunges. And I started talking about alternating lunges like this. And he goes, okay, I got it. He heard, and this is a real story, he heard 0 of what I said. He did what he saw. So one thing that we as a staff need to get better at also is demo, demo, demo. Even though you are saying things, demo what you are saying. Everybody in the gym here is going to respond differently to verbal and tactile and even what they see, okay, visual. Demo, if someone needs help, we need to figure out how that athlete responds.
You want to talk about, I just saw you tactile stuff here. You want to talk about that a little bit, how that worked out?
Yeah, well, so the thing that I think I saw was I wanted her to push her knees out more. And when I asked, I got a little. So I wanted more. So I put my hand on the outside of her knee and I said, push into my hand as you go down. And I could give her just that little bit of feedback that gave me just a extra inch or 2, so it wasn't a lot more. But then that also tells me that it's a motor control issue. And she has more, she just needed to feel. And then the second time you went down, did you feel how much more you had to work? It was like, holy shit. So that's like the difference also, that you can get different feedback from a tactile. You would know how much more that person actually can work, whether or not they're trying it or not.
And we've seen that with like a PVC pipe too. If you feel like you don't want to get close to that person for maybe they're wearing clothes that make you feel uncomfortable about getting close to them, you could touch them with a PVC pipe and
Marker.
A marker.
If it feels weird to you, it feels super weird to them.
Yeah. And it won't feel, and if you have to think of it as, if it's gonna feel weird to someone that's seeing it, it probably feels weird to them. We're in this world, you're in the world of touching people all day long. We don't think it's weird. One time I did 75 caliper body fat measurements in one day, 75 of them, and I'm like, take your pants off, let's go. And to me it wasn't weird, and these women are like, what? You want me to take my pants off? And like, because I've been doing, I was like literally clicking them off every 10 minutes that day. So it's like, from across the room, if it's gonna look weird that you're like, all right, let's go, you know, like, take that into consideration and maybe try something different, you know? And it can be like a box or a pin or a
As you
PVC
said,
pipe.
tactile cue doesn't always have to be you doing it either. You could put something there.
Yes.
Like here's my PVC pipe. I'm nowhere near you, and I want you to try to make your knee touch the thing. And they still have that tactile feedback. Even if it's, hey, you hold this PVC pipe on your spine so that you can see yourself rounding. They can sometimes even give themselves the tactile cue.
And even too, I think while we're talking about the squat, really, if knees out is the issue, you get like a booty band or a monster band that forces them here, and they have to fight against that. That's another good one, just for this specific example that we're using. So, any questions on like the tactile and verbal, any cueing or anything like that? Anything to add to it? Okay, so that all, everything here kind of leads us to really the main point of why we're doing this, and it's the discussion on when are we going to allow, or at least be okay with the butt wink when it's happening, and when are we going to have the hard line on no, that is not allowed whatsoever. And I don't have a 100% answer. The goal here is that we come to an agreement on when that's okay. What is our best practice as a facility, and what is going to be our philosophy behind that? I want to start with AJ's thoughts. What do we
have a timer?
I'm gonna go with, we're gonna time. This isn't AJ's time, this is our group time. 8 minutes.
You get one.
I would say first and foremost, the hard line would always be if I believe that person's safety is a problem. So right now, we all saw most everybody do a butt wink, and I don't believe anybody was like, oh my God, they're gonna hurt themselves. There was no weight on us, we were going slow, there was no heavy breathing happening or whatever. So if I see load on the body that's heavier, and that's up to me, the coach in the moment, what I feel is safe or heavier, am I seeing this person look vulnerable in those positions? Load would usually be the first one, but it's gotta be could this person do this multiple times and be safe? And if not, in any way, that would be my hard line.
You're next.
I took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, if you put load on somebody and that's a safety issue, and that's where I would stop them.
But is that like a 0 butt wink under load?
For me, no. I mean, I would then go to these, right, and see how it looked under load, light load, and then control it, right?
Meaning more or less though, like if you saw somebody do the butt wink with 75 pounds on and you had no other options, but either no butt wink, meaning we're not squatting under load or we're shortening that range of motion or whatever that is, or would you ever allow for somebody to have even light load under a butt wink?
I think there's under a light load situation, there's potential value in the learning curve to allow the person to feel it, but then put limitations on where they go to, right? And then give that to them as homework to work on. You know, you need to work on this. Lighten your stance, maybe put your heels up, okay? But I think there's value in the motor learning category to put some load, light load.
So like your warm-up weights play around with the butt wink, but when you're doing maximal loading,
Right.
done.
Box or
Yeah, some target.
hard line and parallel.
Megs is someone who has a butt wink and likes squatting a lot and lifting heavy. What does it feel like as an athlete when we tell you to knock it off?
I hate it. It's frustrating because when we get heavy, it's so much harder to control. And it doesn't feel like it's gonna injure me. Where like
Yeah,
other
today.
things do, right? So it is frustrating to hear that when you don't always have the context to know like it might not hurt me today, like I'm not gonna feel it in my back or in other things tomorrow.
Different from, what's something that you would, the opposite of that you're like,
Deadlifts. If I break
Round back.
my back in a deadlift and curve, I'm gonna feel that tomorrow or even today. Like, I can truly injure myself in the moment.
that signal tells you stop.
Yes. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think me personally, the way I look at it is it's task priority. So if I'm in a warm up and the goal is to improve position, then yeah, you can dip your toes in that a little bit where you're feeling it, but the intention needs to be to improve it, not just to go through it because it's okay right now, right? And then as soon as we add any sort of intensity, meaning you're under some sort of cardiovascular demand, or it's a load, a heavy load, or you are moving quickly, then I think we need to ask the athlete to move in the position that they own where that doesn't happen. And that's gonna frustrate some people, right? If we're doing Cindy, right? And they're trying to air squat super fast, and we're telling them that their squat is scaled today because they can't go below parallel without doing the butt wing. Well, they need to be aware that we are asking them to not go there because of the safety of the position that they have to go to get to a full range squat, right? I mean,
Here's my thought on it. We are hard lines on a lot of things, and this is one where we've been really soft, like as a group. Like, and we will mention it, and it's like we know, it's like, whoa, don't do that. And then the other people were like, you're young enough. Like, it's not gonna hurt you. Like, I'll let you butt wink all day.
Maybe not anymore.
But, well, not after today. But like I would in any other scenario, I'd be like, she's not even 40.
Yeah. Yes.
We turned 40 this year. Not even 40. Like
What?
she's fit, and this makes her feel strong. So I'm saying I'm wrong in this, but I would let that go most times. And what's frustrating about this movement for me is that we have hard lines on a lot of things, and this is one that we let go.
What's different? Like, why did we get caught so hard with Jen Oliva trying to fix her?
Extension.
Like, yeah, like I'm trying to think. Like, why was she the difference? Because we let that go for a long time. A long time, and she's definitely not like the most robust human that we have. So, like, why was that? And like, what changed differently in our brain with that at one point? Like, why was that the thing? What made that change?
For me,
Yeah.
like it was like
Pure
this is-
frustration.
Well, it was gonna hurt her. I feel like this is like it was getting worse.
So that's.
It was getting worse.
And I think the same thing happened with me, like, I used to get away with it, and then when you realize, like, how injured I was, you were like, no, stop, like, you're never allowed to do that ever again, and then that's when I really realized, like, oh, that's what's hurting me.
Yeah.
So I feel the same way, like, especially with the legends, if I see them, like, nope, grab a box, like, if it's gonna be gnarly, but no, it's a no.
And I think for lack of better terms too, what we're not discussing is how long of a rapport we created with all these people, especially like just thinking about Courtney's journey.
Yeah.
It's like eventually you start to know that person day in and day out and what their progress is or lack thereof, or those many different millions of times where it's like, oh, Monday she had a back tweak and she didn't get to do something for 6 more days, and then it goes back to normal, and like all of a sudden.
But now I'm like thinking, like, wait a minute, we're letting him get away with it, he's fucking strong as shit,
Yeah.
and it's fun to let him go.
Yeah.
But
Until the
but
last day.
until he gets injured, and then we're like,
It's like, well, shit,
But
we've been
prime
seeing this the whole
example,
time.
for William, like we don't have a ton of other shit on him. Like, you know, with Jen, it's like, oh, well,
Yeah,
there's
that's
this,
Yeah.
and this that's all gone down over the last year. He hasn't screwed up yet. So, like, then I think that becomes more of a thing, too, where you're like, oh, I can try. Like, Shelly is a great one. She would fucking just throw the bomb at her and let it go, and then all of a sudden, it actually went off. And we were like, oh, shit.
And I think
now it's a whole nother ballgame.
I think the thing with Jen that's huge is, you know, with everybody starting the strength program, it's a massive opportunity to actually give her specifically what she needed to help her without feeling like it was like, yes, everyone's squatting and she's doing something a little bit different, but she's not out of the completely alienated from everybody else. It's like, okay, now's the time where we can address this specific issue. I think that's the cool thing that we did for her.
Yeah, and we haven't really had that kind of opportunities as much.
No, and the strength program brought that up. That's what was cool
This
about it.
feels like, the butt wing to me feels like it's like the next layer of what we're gonna be hardcore about. Like, we need, and it can't happen now, right this second, but we can start hitting it in warm-ups during, but I think we have to be careful with what we've allowed happening so far, but know that we're creeping towards that, and then I think one of the best ways to do it is peer review. When the peers can see it happen, and kind of like what we just did, there's a different understanding.
It's like a depth thing,
Yes.
eventually.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think as coaches, whenever we're leading classes, we're gonna do a better job now of even saying these things in class and trying to get people to be aware of them, and even in warm-ups, partnering people up to highlight these things for people that may or may not feel that it's actually happening. So going forward, I think that's gonna be the goal.
Well, and what we know is even if we work on the butt wing in the warm-up right now with the rest of the strength program and we don't get psycho about it, if they are working on it and getting deeper with no butt wing, they will be stronger.
Completely.
So even if they're not like psycho about it, it will help them even with their lifts later.
Yeah.
So we know it's not gonna be a detriment. So I guess to like just clear it up, basically what I'm hearing is we want them to do it, we want them to have a butt wing, but we want them to have the knowledge that they're doing it. And then they can work through it through their warm-up sets, but absolutely no on maximal load.
When you guys do an assessment, the Kelly assessment, do you do a strict passive hip flexion test?
Yes.
Okay, over pressing the hip
Yep.
flexion, and are you paying attention to
Yes,
butt wing?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that's a big, that's a big indicator.
But so often when we get people for the first evaluation, like 1 week of doing the couch stretch changes everything.
Right.
So what we probably should do is like retest.
Yeah.
And even too, right, when we do that assessment, they're usually cold. They haven't really warmed up. They haven't done
We're seeing
anything.
them
Yeah.
at their worst
Yeah.
position
Right.
that they could be in, where
That's a strict, well, I shouldn't say strict joint mobility issue, but could be a tissue, a desensitization issue as well. But do you assess motor control in the form of the ability to anterior
Yes.
and posterior tilt?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't done one for.
I mean,
so-
yeah. I mean, as soon as I see the pelvic tilt happen when I put their thigh to their chest. I talk to them about, I'm like, do you feel that? Did you see how it's lifting up your other leg?
Yeah.
That's not good. Let's work on that.
Well, that with the knee to the chest, and even the hamstring test too, is that lift the opposite leg off the ground. Because if I know that's happening, then I need to pay attention to what the spine's doing as when they hinge also, because that can lead to
I mean, that gives you also more clues in terms of, you know, is this a tissue accessibility problem?
Completely.
Or is this a joint problem?
completely. Yeah.
And that's what, if you guys don't,
Last-
for all
last
the people that
video.
don't know what these two are talking about, because you're not in the thing with this, there's this test.
You can show them,
that
'cause
you
I'll
can
do it right away.
On somebody, real quickly, to tell whether or not their system is causing the issue, or you can ask them to do the thing and they should be able to do it better. If their hip is so tight that they physically can't, you can sit there all day and say, push into my hand, deeper, knees out, all you want, and then the thing isn't gonna happen.
So the reason we wanted to touch on the things we touched on today because that's a classroom setting. All those cues you can do in a class
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people. What our ATC crew will be doing, the advanced theory crew, you guys will be learning about what he's talking about, the actual physical test and how we treat someone one-on-one and we find out if they have that problem. So you're gonna learn about that.
Yeah.
So we got a little into the weeds there, but
It's okay.
that will happen, and like you've already you've done that test a million times. I've tested you
You've
on
gone
that.
through- you've gone through it,
Hamstrings,
Yeah.
all the hip tests. So that will come for you guys, just so you know. We just wanted to touch on class set.
Cool. Yeah. We're
So
gonna end that
we feel
right there.
like we have a good idea on that, and we're all gonna approach that a little differently this next week.
Cool.
As coaches.
Now, the last thing that I wanted to touch on today, especially with the strength prep program going down right now, and these percentages are getting super, super heavy, and we could potentially start to see people failing. I know that we've already